Apart from maintaining the health of every individual that healthcare companies definitely are in the endeavor of doing, they need to take care of their own health as a business. Ensuring that the company is healthy, CFOs needs to have a sharp focus on various aspects. To touch upon these aspects, we have Mr. Keval Shah, Director, Digital Transformation Office, SAP India, and Chandra Prakash Singh, CFO, Brinton Pharmaceuticals. This fireside chat will be moderated by Vartika Rawat, correspondent ETCFO. Over to you, Vartika.
Hello and welcome to ET Health World's India Pharma World Summit. This is Vartika Rawat, your host for this panel discussion on ensuring business financial health with technology. So, as we all know, unlike other sectors, pharma companies were not impacted due to the outbreak of pandemic and did relatively well. We would first open up discussion by saying that uh, what are the major challenges or factors that CFOs are struggling with as far as financial health of businesses is concerned in the pharma company. So we'll start with Mr. Singh.
Thanks, Vatika, for the question. Actually, it was really difficult to quote the number to stakeholders
Yes.
because we actually surpassed our quoted numbers. Because we launched our COVID range product, that was one of the biggest reason that we could surpass or we could survive this pandemic period. So the biggest challenge during that pandemic was to maintain the healthy growth or to maintain the profitability of the company. That was the biggest task during that period. Because as you are aware, ki most of the companies, the first quarter of business was a huge loss, barring that pharmaceutical companies. So we introduced our COVID range of product, which help us to maintain the top line or maintain the quarter-wise targets. So one of the challenge was to maintain the P&L of the company during that period.
Hmm.
The second challenge in the pharmaceutical sector, which I see, is the what you can say innovation challenges. Because by the introduction of a new molecule, the earlier molecule market collapsed significantly. So the replacement of molecule is also one of the reason which ultimately reduces the brand profitability of that particular product. So to how to maintain the brand profitability of that particular product after introduction of new molecule is another reason. Then one more reason is the you can say the DPCO or NPPA, that is the price control from the government. So once the sale of a particular product to reach a certain level, so then government for a mass welfare they introduce as a DPCO. From the government point of view, it is very genuine step and it's a mass benefiting effect. But as a pharma company, once the product comes under DPCO, then the upper cap of the price is fixed. So you cannot go beyond that price. All the way the raw material prices and manpower cost and overheads are the same. So again, to maintain the profitability of that particular product or brand becomes very difficult. And the other thing what you can say is the post this pandemic is the technology challenges. So technology change, what I mean to say is earlier what used to happen pre-COVID era, you need to visit to doctor, show your product, show the technical parameters or the whatever features are available in your product. And on the basis of that, you need to give advice key it is useful in particular treatment or particular therapy. But after this COVID or during that COVID, what happened? The personal interaction was reduced to a drastic level. It is now recovering. So what happened? We invested into technology. We listed our product into then all the online platforms available for the pharma products. So right now we have invested into two sectors. One is physical meeting, and other is the online platforms. So all the facilitation cost or all the platform cost and plus the employee cost. So these two things are hitting the profitability again. So that is also one of the challenge which I see. You need to invest. You have to invest because it is expected that key by 2023 that online platform sale will touch something on 2.3 or 2.7 billion USD.
Mm.
So you have to be present there, and at the same time you need to maintain the team of field also. You need to maintain the people in field, and plus online presence also is required. And last but not the least, the to maintain the inflation cost or to meet the inflation cost, because because this pharma sector is highly two of the major cost is, one is the people cost, other is the marketing cost. People cost is bound to increase by a certain rate every year. At the same time, all the marketing expenses is bound to increase at a certain pace every year. So this is a normal inflation, which is coming from the human resource or from the marketing cost. But at the same time, you cannot increase the prices of your product because of the competition, because of the DPCO, because of the availability of raw materials, or at the same time, you may see that there is some increase in the raw material prices also. So putting all these things together, so this is what my feeling is. These are some of the points which is which are the you can say challenges faced by the today's CFO in the pharma sector.
Right. You've touched upon a very relevant point here. Obviously, yes, you're right. Profitability, many pharmaceutical companies were expecting API prices also to fluctuate, in the H1 of financial year 21, which did. But it did not significantly impacted their profitability, though. But, one point that you've touched is, the one-to-one interaction that pharmaceutical company used to have with clinics, for example. So, export wise, yes, globally we've done well. But, when we talk about domestic markets, the volume did come down at that time because of certain factors that you've also mentioned, where you've said that you have, put in some technological solution in place. So, here I would like to bring in Mr. Shah and ask him, what role is technology playing in building the financial health of businesses, of pharmaceutical companies?
So I think Mr. Singh touched upon quite a few topics, and I'll take it one by one. So the first thing that he talked about was profitability. How do you ensure that, right? So one of the major aspects around technology now is, can I get real-time profitability, even predict my profitability based on the order book that I have? Just based on the order book, I will be able to know what is the profit that I'm going to do by 31st of March. Okay. And I can actually take corrective actions to make sure that the profitability is at the right place. Now, as sir mentioned, the pricing in certain cases is fixed by the government. So what is in your control is the cost. And sometimes what happens is that the raw materials or the APIs are used in multiple products. There are multiple plants where you manufacture it. There are multiple variations in costs that happen. So it is very difficult to capture all of this without technology in a real time basis, right? And that's where technology from SAP can actually help in terms of not just dissecting the profitability of the historical figures, but even go to the extent of predicting the profitability based on the uh, you know based on the pricings, based on the cost that they have at a plant level, at an API level. So that is one aspect, right, where technology can help. Second aspect, very important one that Chandra sir mentioned, was around the interaction with clinics, right? So it's not just online commerce is definitely one thing, but what we at SAP call it is omni-channel commerce. What it means is that every channel that is available to you is supported with one platform. Okay. whether it is your physical one-to-one interaction, whether it is an online interaction, whether it is actual sales on a physical level or at a online or through a chatbot or through an app, doesn't matter. Everything is supported and is delivered to the customer at a at a single platform level. And that's how we call it as phygital, going phygital, not just digital or not just physical but phygital, right? So that is where SAP is actually helping its customers in terms of really giving that platform which makes phygital real, right? Third aspect that sir mentioned was around the entire cost, compliance and costs. How do you go ahead and manage these costs, right? So what we do at SAP is really do analysis in terms of what your costs are, do anomaly detection, okay, do detection in terms of what are the costs that are major contributing factors, right? And where do we see also options in terms of API vendors, right? To the extent that where could you source it from? What are the different sources for that particular API, right? If you are linked to a particular vendor, can you actually expand that vendor base such that your risk comes down in terms of availability and pricing of the APIs, right? So that is another thing that we have worked with our vendor platform, which is called Ariba, right? So there is so many things that we have delivered to our customers by which we are continuously adding value through technology. So one, as I would say, is the the operations and profitability. Second is on the customer side, making the platform phygital, and third is really looking at procurement and making the base vendor base and the vendors network really connected, so that those are the three things that I would say technology can help in. There are so many other things, but these are the three based on Chandra sir's reaction to that.
All right. So, Mr. Singh, at this point, I'll come back to you and ask you very briefly that as Mr. Shah said that it's adding technology is adding value to your business processes and what you're doing. But here I would just want to slightly ask you as a CFO that what are the what are the expectations from such technologies to help you become more efficient? So over to you, sir.
So actually, the points mentioned by Keval are very important point, because now time has come to be digital, because you have to ensure your presence both in physical and digital both ways. So right now we are already moving towards that, and we have reporting softwares, then we have accounting softwares, then we have field reporting things, and we have all e-expenses. So we are almost moving towards the digital kind of working culture. So anything which supports this concept is will be welcomed by the pharma sector, like as a good tool.
So, moving on, what are the financial risks that CFOs will be facing in 2021? Obviously, we're talking about the pharmaceutical industry. And how are you in your organization trying to manage those?
You manage your army and you won the war. That is a simple philosophy we follow in the Brinton. When pandemic hit the country, in fact worldwide, so everybody was worried ki, whether we will be having our job or we will lose our job, or whether there will be any salary reduction or something like that. But management of Brinton was quite firm on that. No, we are not going to reduce any headcount. And once the COVID hit the world, once lockdown was declared on 23rd of March, Brinton was ready with its launch of mask and PPE kit on 15th of April. So that was the response time from Brenton. So because of the vision of the management, because we sensed this thing into February only. Yes, there is going to be some major steps. We never estimated that it's going to be so long, but yes, something is coming on the way. Some trouble is coming on the way. So we started working on them. So we launched mask, we launched PPE kit, we launched doctors OPD kit. Then you will be surprised, we were the second company to launch Favipiravir, that is in the brand name of Faviton,
Yeah.
which is used to cure the mild to medium COVID symptoms. Then we launched Scab Over, which is for again some sort of prevention from the COVID. So our response time during this lockdown period was amazing, and it is because we took care of the our people, so they make sure that the company should not come under the financial crisis. So it was a both side win-win situation for us.
So, Mr. Singh, earlier when I was introducing our session, I mentioned that one of the challenges that CFOs had during this time was uncertainty. Uncertainty was the biggest risk.
Correct.
And, promising or committing numbers to their key stakeholders was a challenge at that time. So, just wanted to understand from you that, going forward in 2021, what are those major risks that you see that is going to impact your profitability and cash flows?
In 2020, in financial year, you mean to say?
2021, sir. Yes.
2021. So actually, we are going to surpass our 2021 numbers. So it will be in fact a positive growth of we are expecting 8 to 10% by March, and will be closing with a positive growth of 8 to 10%,
Mm-hmm.
which is mainly due to the our core sector plus the introduction of that VK range, which we call COVID range.
Mm-hmm.
So COVID range product, because it was a social responsibility also that we should serve the society with some solution.
Mm-hmm.
So it helped to a great extent. In fact, we surpassed our quarter one number, Q1 numbers on the year-on-year growth. We surpassed our Q2 number on year-on-year growth, and we are hopeful that we will cross this financial year 2021 on a positive note.
That's great. You have actually pointed out a very significant thing here that, pharma companies are actually doing good. And in the future, there is a lot of opportunities there for this industry. But while going forward, I think there's a lot of scope of investment and, expansion and new product lines. But in that sense, I would like Mr. Shah to, come in and something about project portfolio management for pharma
Sure, sure,
companies.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thanks, Vartika, for that question. Actually, one of the things that we have been working with our customers is how do they see the different opportunities in the market? Where should they actually go ahead and invest, right? uh, how much they should invest, what is the kind of returns, what is the kind of probability of those returns, and what is the kind of competition in that market, right? So what we have done with our large customers is that we have developed a program wherein they can actually have this entire portfolio of projects that they can take up, whether it is the same molecule with geographical expansion, that is one kind of project, or a new molecule, right? Or a new or the same molecule with a different API, right? Or different features, right? Additional features, or backward integration into the key APIs that they are anyways procuring. So somebody could actually open up an API manufacturing in Philippines, right? So all of these are projects that actually add value to the business. However, you cannot really invest in all of the 100 odd projects simultaneously. So what is that need of the hour? What is it that is going to maximize the returns, right? And that's where our project and portfolio management software comes into picture, wherein we deliver the entire project management software as well as investment analysis of these projects, such that you are able to compare apple to apple in terms of which projects you should go for, and it automatically prioritizes based on the business needs as to what projects would make sense, right? What project combinations might make sense, because sometimes it also happens that it's not, the value is not just coming from one project but two projects together, right? And you enhance the value over there. So those kind of permutations, combinations of projects and portfolio of projects is what we support through our software. That's been really what a lot of customers have appreciated with us, that having that deep expertise in terms of this kind of arena is something that definitely works for our clients. Yeah.
Mhm. So, Mr. Shah, from your experience, I would want to understand what are the three components of a successful project portfolio management that you would like to share with our audience today.
Okay. I would rather ask this question to Mr. Chandra in terms of what he sees as the top three. There are so many, but yeah, I mean, sir, would you like to actually comment on it before I do?
No, you start, I'll follow you.
Okay, okay. So basically, we see that technologically, what we need is a wealth of information. uh, so all of that intelligence building is based on the information that is received. So the market information, as well as you know let's say market, uh, I would say, how much of that molecule, what is the demand, what is the supply of the API, those kind of market information is very important for the software to actually propose anything, right? So that is something which we have been working upon with our network of networks in terms of actually supplying that kind of information to our customers. That is important. Second is really looking at what is your core strength as a company, because not all of the companies can work on all of the types of projects, right? There are definitely specializations by, let's say, a Sun or a Lupin in certain areas, right? So definitely that needs to be taken into consideration as to what are your strengths. And third is that what is the kitty of investment that you have? How much cash do you carry actually, right? And what is going to be uh, the strategy? Whether it is going to be something in-house developed, or are you going to acquire it? So that particular piece is important as well. Now, putting all of this uh, together, how technologically we support it is through this project and portfolio management, right? And we really give a holistic perspective to senior management in terms of what are the bigger balls in terms of adding to the profitability, what are the smaller ones, what are tougher, where the probability is higher, where the probability of making profits is lesser. So those kind of things are very clear to the management, and they can actually take decisions based on it. So bringing out information, bringing your own strengths, and then the strategy that you want to put in place, all three together is what project and portfolio management is all about.
Mr. Singh, do you want to add anything?
I mean, it's really very useful information because data is the new oil. That is
Yep.
true.
Yeah.
So it's all about the data analysis, gathering data, and providing the outcome. as you mentioned, that market knowledge. So if you, one more thing is need to be added, key, what is the remaining shelf life of a particular molecule? For example, you are telling,
Right.
okay, because every molecule will be replaced by something new,
Hmm.
or there will be some molecule diversion because you may add some new therapy, or you may add some new treatment into that existing molecule, or the existing molecule will be replaced by the new molecule. So that data is also very much important. And the biggest thing is the kitty of investor. That is a absolutely valid point. So after this pandemic, what I feel, uh, that is one of the most important factor, that how you keep your finances intact, how you maintain your debt and equity ratio, so that it don't take you out of any cash crunch kind of situation.
All right. So, Mr. Singh, taking this conversation a little forward, just one question from you that, how can you keep tabs on your company's finances, which is instrument for immediate and future success?
Immediate is keep at least 6 month reserve with you.
Mm.
That is the immediate solution, because your human resource is your biggest asset. Once they are satisfied, they are motivated, if their morals are high, obviously you are going to win the battle. So that is the immediate thing. And plus, as far as long term is concerned, so this COVID has helped us to reduce some other cost, like travel cost has come down drastically.
Yeah.
One of the biggest cost for a pharma company is the travel cost. The travel cost has come down drastically. We have now moved toward the move, we are moving towards the digital kind of concept. So traveling cost reduction is there. Then we have CME expenses has come down, and then your what you can say, your conferences expenses are one of the huge expenses in the pharma sector.
Yep.
So these conferences, then your marketing expenses, because now you are going entering towards a digital marketing era. So your marketing cost has come down. So marketing cost, your then travel, CME, conferences. So these are the heads which we are trying to tap to maintain the future profitability. Because
Hmm.
one thing is sure, being an employee friendly company, or we being an employee oriented company, that is not the head which we are going to touch anyway. So these are the expenses which we are planning to control or to keep a tab for the future profitability.
Right. We have actually reached towards the end of our conversation, but before we leave, I would have one question for both of you. Starting with Mr. Shah, I just wanted to ask you that how what should pharma companies focus on to take care of health of their business? Considering 2021 is going to be completely different from what the previous years have been. Especially, I'm saying this because now it's going to be a post vaccination world and economy overall. So what do you think that pharma companies should focus on to take care of their financial health?
I mean, I'm no pharma expert, right? I think Chandra sir will have more details on that. I'm more of a technology expert, helping some of the pharma companies. But whatever I have seen and I have studied as probably as a personal investor as well, is that more and more companies are not going to be just making profits out of molecules that are getting off patent. They really need to invest in their R&D, research and development wings, to really come up with some new applications and new molecules. That's where I think even the smaller ones, even the smaller players would focus upon, because they would specialize in it, in a particular field. And hence, I think that a lot of focus will and needs to come around R&D. Okay. Second is, what we also see is that as India, we depend upon, let's say, a China or a Southeast Asian countries in terms of APIs, right? And government has also taken some steps around, really putting up an API park, right? Incentivizing the manufacturing of APIs in India, because really, as of now, the APIs are one third the cost elsewhere. If you
Right.
manufacture in India versus manufacturing somewhere else. So if you really want to go towards made in India, and the businesses want to take advantage of what government has to offer, they might look at this particular avenue as well, right? So that is the second thing that I see. Uh, the third thing, as Chandra sir mentioned, leveraging technology, right, in the right manner, with the right tools, right, and really having a partner which can give them an end to end, right. What ends up happening with a lot of companies is that for running their operations they would have one software, for running their finances they would have another, for running their digital marketing they would have another, for running their vendor interactions they would have another. And what ends up happening is that although it seems that the cost is less, but integrating all of this and making them talk to each other is next to impossible. Okay. And that's where SAP has kind of a advantage, because it covers the end to end pharmaceutical industry, or as we call it, life sciences industry, right. So from that perspective, I think a lot of our customers are going to relook at how they are leveraging technology, and really understand the end to end, and adopt it. So these are the three things that I can see happening, at least in India in the future.
Yes,
Yeah,
Chandra sir.
yeah, thanks, Kevin. Actually, as you rightly said, technology is going to be one of the key driver in the days to come as far as pharma sector is concerned. Because people are, that is absolutely correct. People are having different software for marketing, then they have different software for reporting, and they have different software for accounting. And talking to all these software together is a task. But unfortunately, we are having the same thing. Maybe we are lucky enough. Okay.
Okay, you have my
Uh,
card. I'm sending you my card.
yes. Okay. And the second thing, as you rightly mentioned, dependency on the APIs. That is the need of the hour. Government of India has already declared three this API parks, and they have declared production linked incentive, that is PLI, something around 6,000 or 7,000 odd crore.
Yep.
And plus the existing API manufacturers, that is something around 1,500 to 1,600 API manufacturers are there. So they have also expanded their capacity.
Mm.
So earlier, what used to happen that, in fact, you can say before Jan 2020, uh, out of the total pharmaceutical imports, approximately 60% was contributed by API out
Mm.
of the total pharma imports. Sorry, and out of the 60%, 70% used to come from China.
Yep.
So
Yep.
out of your total imports of the country in pharma, approximately 42 to 45% used to come from China as a API.
Yep.
But after increase in this API capacity, that is going to reduce to a good extent. For example, if I talk about Brinton, in Jan 2020, we had total API contribution to our portfolio was Chinese API, I would say, was around 16%. Our 16% products were depend upon the Chinese API.
Mm.
Right now, in today's contest, it is less than 1%. So we have moved completely towards Make in India concept.
Awesome.
So that is API which is going to drive the business
Yep.
for entire this pharma sector, and it will reduce the dependency on Chinese API drastically. Earlier, world used to see India as a manufacturer of pharmaceutical product, or manufacturer of healthcare product, or producer of healthcare product. Now they will see India post this COVID, the kind of response or the kind of sensibility or kind of responsibility they have shown to the world. India will become the healthcare partner of the world. So from the manufacturer to partner, that is the journey which I see has already done this pre-COVID and post-COVID. So it is going to be a great opportunity for the entire pharma sector that to be the healthcare partner of the world.
All right, so we have very interesting insights shared by two really experienced experts in their own field. Thank you so much for your insights, and thank you so much for being part of ET Health World India Farm World Summit.
Thank you, Vartika.
Thanks, Vartika. Thanks,
Was
Keval.
glad to be here.
Thank you, panelists, for an engaging chat session. Keep tweeting using the hashtag ETIPWS and stay connected.